So, Rob, let's begin. You have a breaking exclusive about Savannah Guthrie that has run counter to all of the other reporting about this tragic situation, but over at 30 Rock, over at Studio 1A, this everybody's trying to climb up the greasy pole of Savannah's
Mm.
absence. Um, you have a report that says her mother sacrificed everything so that Savannah could pursue this career. One longtime source says to walk away now would feel like letting the darkness win. She loves her family fiercely, even though she is devastated. She also loves her job. These two things can coexist. They have to. Before we get to what else you've got to say about this on the back end, Savannah posted this new
Mm.
video to Instagram on Tuesday morning, upping the reward to $1 million. dollars. Here we go.
Hi there. I'm coming on to say it is day 24 since our mom was taken in the dark of night from her bed. And every hour and minute and second and every long night has been agony since then of worrying about her and fearing for her and aching for her. And most of all, just missing her, just missing her. We know that millions of you have been praying. So many people have been praying of every faith and no faith at all, praying for her return. And we feel those prayers. Please keep praying without ceasing. We still believe. We still believe in a miracle. We still believe that she can come home.
Wow.
What do you make of all of this?
It's just so heartbreaking. Savannah now, I think, has put out three videos. This one really got to me. The others were really upsetting too, but this one got to me because I think Savannah is now at the point where a lot of us have been for a few days, if not weeks. It doesn't look good. And I think Savannah now is acknowledging that this is a really smart person. She investigates. She's a reporter. If this wasn't her mom, if this was a case that she was following for the Today Show or wherever else, she would have thoughts about this now. And I understand why you're pushing them away because it's your mom. However, she still is a reporter in her heart. And I think now it's been over 20 days. We have no tips. I'm told from my law enforcement sources that it's almost a cold case. They have nothing. They're not hiding anything back. I keep hoping and praying. Maybe they're not telling us everything. Maybe there is a smoking gun. Maybe there's a detail that the police know, that the authorities know, that the FBI know, and we don't. I'm told there isn't. I'm told that they are as baffled by this as we are, and they've had lots of updates with Savannah, with her family, and they've not sugarcoated it. They've told her the reality, which she already knew. She's an awfully smart person, and she has covered a lot of really ugly cases in her days in local TV, now in national TV. And so this video broke my heart, and I think Savannah now is at the point where she's looking to a future without her mom. Just a little bit of breaking reporting that I got just 10 minutes before we came on the show. I'm told that very soon, if not this weekend, Savannah's probably going to come back to New York. Her family is here, her children are here. In Arizona now, I'm not sure she feels like she's been very useful. I think she's going to be back in New York pretty soon.
And the most important question, Rob, is what does this mean for Hoda Kotb?
Wow.
What does
That,
this mean for her? You know, she's been very excited about being in Savannah's chair. It's been obvious. Most of the Today Show hosts have been wearing the yellow ribbon. The reporting that I always thought was coming straight from her competitors was that there was no way Savannah would ever return after this, almost trying to, in my estimation, put the thought in her head that it would be unseemly
mm,
to return to work
mm,
after such a tragedy rather than perhaps actually healthy for Savannah.
That's so smart, Maureen. We've been doing this a really long time. You're a great reporter. 80, 90% of my sources are people who are competitors, who feel competitive with someone. That might be a sibling, it might be somebody in your family, it might be a competitor in the workplace. And so these stories never make sense to me that she wouldn't come back. And I know Savannah. I've been on that show 40, 50 times. I've hung out with her in a social environment. She's really ambitious. You don't get to be in that chair. You don't get to start in local TV and work your way up to the Today Show chair without really wanting it. She wants this. And more importantly, her mom really wanted it too. Her mom encouraged her to be a reporter. There's a beautiful story where Savannah wasn't going to leave home. She wanted to stay by home. And it was her mom who really was smart enough and kind enough to push her out of the nest, to say, you go. There's a big world for you out there, Savannah. You're so smart. This could be your oyster. And she literally flew and flying high. The #1 morning show, she's in that chair. She's not leaving it. And if she did, these monsters, these terrorists, I would say, win. And she will not let that happen. They might have destroyed her family. They are not going to destroy her career. Her mom was her biggest cheerleader. I'm sure, I would guess like you, it's competitors out there putting out this little rumor, muddying the water that, oh my goodness, it would be unseemly to see her back. No, it wouldn't be. You can be ambitious and you can be full of love too. You can love your family and you can love your job. You don't have to pick either or. I love what I do for a living, but I love my family too. And so you can do both. And Savannah will be back on that show. And the big question, we're joking almost a little bit about it, but what does happen to Hoda? I have a very good indication, Maureen, and I want everybody to watch this. On the day that Savannah returns to the Today Show, they're going to have monster ratings. It might be the highest
Oh,
rated
yes,
Today Show in years,
absolutely.
maybe decades. If Hoda is not in the studio that day, then we know. Hoda's not going to be there. She's going to be thanked along with everybody else, but she's not going to be sitting at that desk. I know she's there next week, so she's going to have a third week at the anchor desk. That fits together very well with my reporting. If she comes back home this weekend, she'll have a week in New York, and then I think we're going to see Savannah on the Today Show in the next 2 or 3 weeks. She's coming back.
I love this. I love this for Hoda, who is like visibly licking her lips at the thought that Savannah's tragedy would be her triumph. I love the idea that she could be shown the door at 30 Rock and Studio 1A permanently. And I hope that Savannah knows that despite what those vultures over there have been trying to seed in the mainstream media, that all America wants to see is an iota of happiness for her,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
iota of comfort. And if that comfort is back in her chair at Studio 1A, that's exactly where she should be. And there's not a single decent person who would ever begrudge her that, ever.
Absolutely, Maureen. Absolutely. And I think not at the moment, but there are certainly people around Savannah who see this. And they're not talking about the Today Show at the moment. They're not talking about people not being supportive of her. They're talking about her mom. They're talking about how they're going to survive potentially without their mother. But there will come a day when Savannah sees these videos and she sees what's going on and she hears about what is going on. She always had a difficult relationship with Hoda. They were never that close. She was not Savannah's first choice to replace Matt Lauer. That was Willie Geist. And it was only when the
Really?
numbers were not there that they brought in Hoda. And so I think Hoda here should tread really carefully because her future is going to be in Savannah's hands. And biting the hand that feeds you is a really dumb thing to do. So at the moment here, if I was Hoda, I would go to work this week, next week, and then I would back off. Go away. Don't go back to that studio until you're invited back, which I predict will not be soon.
To be continued. Now, moving on to another kind of a true family crisis. You are reporting in the wake of the former Prince Andrew's arrest last Thursday. that the royal family is actually hoping that Andrew is convicted in court and does prison time. Why would they want this? And what would be the desired outcome, Rob?
Yeah, and one of the reasons we found each other, you found me, I'm so grateful for it, Maureen, is that not only am I an entertainment reporter, I used to be a publicist, and so I've seen the situation on both sides. One of my clients was Princess Michael of Klent. I got a check from Buckingham Palace every month in my PR days, so I know this family intimately. I know this family, I would say, better than any other reporter out there because I worked for them. I've been in the meetings, I've been in the conference rooms, I've been on the conference calls. I was paid to give them advice, to give Princess Michael of Kent advice. So enough patting myself on the back, but I think it gives you an indication that my sources within this institution go right to the top. So I was on the phone, I was planning to fly back to Britain and the snowstorm stopped that. So I've been hitting the phones like crazy. It's always better to do it in person. Telephones are great, emails are great. When I came on your show for the Golden Globes, that's when I really fell in love with you. In person is when you do it, when you see people. So
Exactly.
honestly, you don't have to be in show business. You don't have to be a reporter. If your friends invite you out for a drink, go for a drink. Don't just talk to them on the phone.
There
Okay,
is
back to
no
the story.
substitute for
There's no
face to
substitute.
face.
There's no substitute. So I had to have the substitute because my flight was cancelled. But I hit the phones and I spoke to three people, three senior people within the palace,
Okay.
who told me that the best scenario is for Andrew to go to jail. I gasped. I said, "What is going on?" And they said, "If Andrew is not convicted, he will be unleashed. He will feel vindicated. He feels like he's done nothing wrong now. So if he has a legal argument that he's innocent, he's going to be a real problem for the family." Also, too, they're still paying his rent. So that's a problem they've got to deal with. Do they keep paying his rent, or do they kick him out of this house too? And he has to go and find, God forbid, his own house. He's a troubled person. He is going to embarrass them again and again and again. The only place, if he moves to the Middle East, he'll embarrass them. We'll see him with dictators. We'll see him with strongmen. We'll see him really being a hustler, really being a grifter. The
Not
only
unlike his nephew.
That's exactly the point. They didn't get rid of the Harry problem by sending people
Exactly.
abroad. The only way that the royal family can literally stop this and turn the page and stop the drip, 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 drip that's going to be there till the day he dies is if he's in jail. And so I'm told, I gasped, and it takes a lot to shock me, but I was told, Maureen, that there's a wish, there's a fantasy, there's a hope that Andrew goes to jail. And if he goes to jail, they can, not exactly justly here, but they can close this book. They can put a little ribbon of it and they can blame everything on Andrew. That's what they want to do. They want to blame it all on him, and they want to close this chapter. And if he went to jail, that would be a way to do it.
Rob, tell me what you think of this, but this to me seems like wishful thinking, and this to me seems like intel that is probably coming out of the king's office. The idea that, as we talked about last week, there are no plea deals in British courts. So Andrew has to go to trial. He will be tried in the king's court. He will undoubtedly try to drag his brother into these proceedings as a witness. And Charles cannot be a witness in his own court. That is a compromise. I don't know how one squares. The idea that Charles knew nothing about this strains credulity. We saw William and Catherine at the BAFTAs this weekend, the British version of the Oscars, and they looked beautiful, well put together, dignified, but there did seem to be a little bit of a disconnect between the two of them. Even Catherine, in talking to people, was caught on camera saying, "Oh, you have to be in a very calm state of mind to watch a movie such as the much nominated Hamnet." And William said something like, "Well, I'm not calm at the moment."
Yeah, it's real insight. Real insight. It was a slip up that they don't normally make. I actually like them being a little bit human here, and I think that they are definitely the future. I read your amazing piece about the king should resign, and you're not alone in that, Maureen. You're the only one that's brave enough to say it. But
Thank
a
you.
lot of my conversations, including in the palace, these are people in the palace. They work for the palace. They don't want to get rid of the monarchy. They don't want that, but what they want is a fresh start. And so I think getting rid of Andrew would be a great start to that. We've seen that he won't go away, so he's always going to be a problem to them. And then they have to really talk about the king. There's going to be some really ugly conversations over the next 6 months in Britain. I'm told he's not going to abdicate. He's not going to leave at the moment, but over the next 6 months or so, we might have a health crisis where he has to take a step back. And so they'll never, ever say he abdicated because of his complicated relationship, maybe even his complicit relationship with his brother. They'll say it's about health. So that's going to be the press release. We know it. Give it 6 months, but William will be on the throne sooner than we think. And I think we can start over then. But it's a story, Maureen. It ain't going to go anywhere. He's going to go on trial. I'm told now that other witnesses are coming forward. I had a bombshell reporting on my Substack that they've searched Buckingham Palace. He had an
What?
office.
I missed that item because you post every 8 seconds, Rob. It's very difficult to keep up. Do tell.
They've searched. Yeah. So he had an office. He had an office and rooms in the
Andrew
palace.
did.
Yeah, Andrew did. So the mistake
What is
we made,
what is he doing? what does he clock in to do? What is his work?
he had
exactly?
the office and the rooms in the early 2000s when he was the trade envoy. That's where he was based out of. And so there's still a computer in that office. And I'm sure he did not clean it because he was so arrogant. He doesn't think he's done anything wrong. And so the mistake I've made, that people make, is that Buckingham Palace is not a house. It's an office. They don't really live there. The Queen lived at Windsor or Balmoral. She didn't live there. Charles and Camilla don't live there. William and Kate don't live there. It is an office. It's a bureaucracy. They use it for state dinners. They use it for official events. But all those floors, it's a several-story high building. They're offices. And so all these royals who have really nothing to do are given an office space there. It's like working for the UN. You get an office space, and I'm not quite sure what you do in that office space. But he had an office space at the palace. He had multiple rooms. And the police, I don't want to use the word raid because that isn't what they're saying. But if they've searched 3-4 of his homes, including his former homes, of course they're going to search his office. And so they have been to Buckingham Palace and they have searched and taken computers and electronic devices.
Yes, and to your point, before we move on to Blake Lively, I do think also the idea of Charles citing health concerns about 6 months from now with a coronation of William and Catherine, the publicist in you surely understands this is a masterstroke, because what it does is it changes the conversation.
It doesn't.
Now the world's media is descending for the coronation of the young and beautiful king and queen who will be taking care of business and not only ushering the monarchy into a new century, but saving the monarchy.
It's at that point now where there needs to be massive changes. I would argue, even if we didn't have the disgraced former Prince Andrew in the conversation, we've changed. When the monarchy was set up, the world was a very different place. Now bowing down to a human being because of a birthright, it's just not the way we operate. And, it always amazed me that America was born by getting rid of the Brits and still was quite sort of deferential or fascinated in the British royal family. That is changing too now as we realize that this family is deeply flawed. The system's deeply flawed. I love reality shows, but I don't know a reality show that is as cruel as this. You can't get the job until the person dies. At least on Survivor, you just put out their torch and they go home. This is a really cruel game show. Someone has to die. It is the Hunger Games that they've been playing for centuries. And so I think a lot of things have to change, and we know they're not going to change under Charles. He's not going to do it. And so William, I think, is going to be the hope, the future of the monarchy. But even with William there, Maureen, they have a tough job ahead of them. It's a really tough, it's like having a company, like being the head of, I don't know, Kodak Films. We don't use them anymore. We don't, it's if you and me were the head of Blockbuster Video, how do we save it? That's where we are in the story of the royals.
It's so true. It's so true. You kind of have to repurpose yourself as kind of the way I kind of think of it is the way that CDs and then the iPod and streaming just made vinyl obsolete, but now it's kind of a thing that's come back as like a collectible,
Cool.
and you're sort of a rarefied person. Like that's what I think they have to sort of do with the monarchy, make it feel special, make it feel like a special drop, here and there. As we get older, our bodies naturally produce less collagen, and that impacts everything from joints and recovery to hair, skin, and nails. The good news is that there is a product that can help. Bubs Naturals Collagen Peptides. Taking Bubs daily can help with stiffness, a better recovery after workouts, and healthier skin. Plus, it's easy to use. Just mix it into your morning coffee. It dissolves instantly with no taste or grit. But what really sets Bubs apart is how clean it is. No sugars, no fillers. It's third-party tested and sustainably sourced. You'll also love that the brand gives back, donating 10% of profits to charity in honor of Navy SEAL Glenn Bub Doherty. It is a product that actually stands for something. Live better longer. For a limited time only, Nerve listeners are getting 20% off at Bubs Naturals by using code NERVE at checkout. Just head to bubsnaturals.com and use code NERVE, then you're all set. After you purchase, they're going to ask you, where did you hear about us? Please tell them you're a troublemaker and that the Nerve sent you.